Hi everyone, it's me, Arielle, and it's Wednesday Warriors. And today I'm going to be talking about recovery roadblocks, obstacles and things that can get in your way as you progress in recovery. The first thing I want to talk about is weight gain, because in recovery, especially if you are recovering from anorexia or from eating disorder not otherwise specified and you are underweight, part of recovery is going to be that you will have to gain weight. And that is, for most people, the scariest thing about recovery itself. Because probably there's a lot of fear around this weight gain. There's a lot of fear often around a number or around certain numbers. There's a lot of fear that has to do with body image or the way we look in the mirror. So weight gain can be a pretty big obstacle. You could have your heart and your mind set on recovery, but if you are so afraid of gaining some weight to make your body be healthier, you're going to come up against this roadblock. I'm going to put a link on this video to my video from, I believe it was last week. No, not last week, 2 weeks ago, for Wednesday Warriors, and I read something called A Smaller Size is Not a Prize, and it was something that I had written, and it dealt with gaining weight and having to go out and buy new clothes and deal with being a new clothing size in the midst of recovery. And I think it's really relevant to this topic, so I'm just going to post the link so that if you haven't seen it, you can flip back to 2 weeks ago and kind of brush up on that as well. It's just important to remember that gaining weight for a lot of people, depending on your eating disorder of course, is part of recovery, and we're going to have to do it. And maybe it's going to be one of the hardest things for us. Maybe it's going to be a mountain. The next recovery roadblock that I want to talk about is lack of support. And I think it's something that we either all feel at one time or another, or we come across. Even if we've had support but then suddenly it seems to fade, it's really hard when you're doing really well and you're making a lot of progress, and then you sort of convince the people around you that have been your support system that you're fine now, you know, you're gaining weight, or you're being a healthy weight, or you're eating right, or you're doing this or doing that, and they think, oh, you know, maybe she's out of the woods, maybe he's out of the woods. And then you might find yourself, when you have a really bad day or you're in danger of relapsing and you really need someone, there's nobody there, because they have grown to think that you can handle it on your own, or, you know, you're so far out of the woods that you don't need their help anymore. And I think it happens a lot, and you have to just use the tools that you used in the very beginning when you first started out in recovery. And the biggest one is asking for support. You have to ask for help when you need it. If the help's not there, it doesn't mean it won't be there. It just means you might have to reach out. You might have to shout out to someone and say, hey, I'm not quite where I need to be yet. I am doing a lot better, but I still need your help. Or I'd really like to talk to you. I need some support today. You have to, you can't expect people to read your mind. You really have to reach out. Another recovery roadblock is triggers. These things are going to happen even while we're in recovery, and sometimes they can be setbacks. Whether these triggers are people, places, or things, you know, it could be a friend that is extremely thin, or is doing better than you, or doing worse than you, or eating less on a diet, you know, whatever it might be. It could be a person that's a trigger. It could be your parents constantly wanting more of you, constantly setting high expectations, making you be that perfectionist, you know, making the eating disorder come out when you feel you're trying to get it under control. You know, it could be things like places, like being home, you know, being away at college, whatever it might be, something that triggers a certain feeling within you that the eating disorder wants to come out. But, you know, it could be things, just, you know, watching something on TV. You know, if it's something different for everyone, there's often several triggers for each person. And these things are going to come up, and they're going to be recovery roadblocks, and you have to know how to deal with them. I don't want to get too much into the triggers today, because next week's video is about pressures and things that can hinder recovery, and I think that that kind of falls into that video more than this video, so if I really go into all the different recovery roadblocks, I'm going to have nothing to talk about next week, so you're just going to have to stay tuned. But definitely triggers is something that can be a recovery roadblock. One thing that I want to say as far as a really, really big recovery roadblock is yourself. We are often our own worst enemies, and we do self-sabotage, and self-sabotage is a huge obstacle, a huge recovery roadblock. Don't do that to yourself. We've all done it, we are all guilty of it, and it needs to stop. So I would like to talk about some tools that you have when you do hit these recovery roadblocks. And I've talked before about creating a coping bank, and this is an idea that I'm sure many of you have already heard of, but you sort of get rid of the bad by bringing in some good. You know, you write down some things that make you feel good or happy, and you pretty much put them in a bank or a box or, you know, a jar or something, so that you can get your thoughts moving in the right direction when you're having a really hard day, when you've hit a recovery roadblock. You know, like a couple of mine would have been watching a Shirley Temple movie, because that always cheers me up. Baking something, painting or drawing, you know, certain things like that. You can find a support group, and I know I tend to be an advocate for this just because I'm a support group leader, but it can be a real help. It's often very scary to go out and reach out and find a support group and actually go to one. Crossing the threshold that first time can be pretty scary, but it's so worth it. And I've heard that from so many people, that they're terrified that first initial time, but then once they keep going, you know, they don't know how they ever had weeks without it when they were having a rough time. You can join a recovery forum. I am a moderator on 2 forums, and I have been for a couple of years. They really help people, especially young people, and I've seen the way it helps people firsthand. We Bite Back is a forum that I've been a moderator on for a couple of years. I will post the link in the information section below the video, so if anyone's interested, you can go there and join it. It has gotten extremely large, I will warn you of that. There's a ton of members, but there are definitely other forums out there like We Bite Back. That's just the place that I'm a moderator at. There's the Joy Project, for example. You can get support, gain encouragement, and make progress in the comfort of your own home. There are a bunch of message boards and forums out there like that. All you really have to do is hit Google and search. Another great tool is you can get a daily source of advice and motivation right here at We Are Freedom Fighters at this channel. There are a plethora of fabulous motivational videos here, from the past, from the present. There's tons. You know, you can just sign on to YouTube when you're having a hard time, when you've hit a roadblock, and sort of sift through all the videos, and I bet that you can find at least one, if not more, videos that can boost your morale and can probably relate to something that you're dealing with at that point in time, whatever the recovery roadblock might be. We also have a brilliant website where you can find other resources, a forum, and certain goodies, and I will post that link in the information section below this video as well. Recovery does have roadblocks, but it's like anything. I mean, it's like anything hard and worth doing. It can be an uphill battle, and it is an uphill battle a lot of the time, but you're just going to have to be like the little engine that could, and you're just going to have to slowly and surely go up those mountains, go up those hills, and say, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And if you think you can, you will. It's a lot of mind games, but an eating disorder is a huge mind game. So if you can outwit it, you know, you'll be better off. There is a lot more that I want to say about recovery roadblocks, but I really think that the rest of what I want to say will fit better with next week's video. And next week's video is about pressures, what could be challenging as you try to recover, what is in the environment. and that's recovery roadblocks as well, but it's sort of more detailed. I'm going to pinpoint some more things, especially triggers. So watch next week. Have a great week, everyone.